We are live. How y'all doing? It's Four Dudes in a Football. I'm Adam. That's Cyrus. That's Florida Man down there, Miles. And that's Mike down there wincing in pain. Get it? Yes. That's for all the podcast listeners because, they can't see the screens or anything like that. So, how y'all doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Doing good, man.
Awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. We had a hell of a weekend. Dude, this has probably been the best opening season of football that I can remember. I mean, the first 3 weeks have been fucking kick ass all the way.
I agree.
Usually I'm already irritated by how some of the shit's going. So, anywho.
Very entertaining.
So I guess we're going to get right into the Titans and the Colts. I watched that. And, the Titans, they won it.
Who called it?
I'm not. What's that?
Who called it? Who called
Who
it?
called it?
Most of
called
America called it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I gotta take that one because I may not get one right the rest of the year.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know about y'all, but all right, so in the first 3 games, I'm happy. I don't know about happy, but I'm happy with their defense. I'm happy with the direction that it's going, at least. It's still not all the way there, but they're definitely getting pressure on quarterbacks. And this game really wasn't. Actually, the last 2 games, they were rushing the quarterback, if you will. They weren't getting that many sacks or anything like that. But, dude, I'm kind of getting a little worried about the offense, about all the stupid ass mistakes they're making. I mean, I don't know. Is it something to be worried about yet, or?
I don't think yet. I think you got a little bit of time before you have to start worrying. And we talked about it a little bit last week in spots, but the offensive line is still working it out. There's guys that haven't played together for very long, and that's going to be a work in progress all season. Taylor Lewan, for what it's worth, looked a hell of a lot better this week. And the Colts are not a slouch defensive team, so he held his own. I think he gave up a sack, but overall played pretty well, which is a great sign. And they finally get the run game going towards, like the middle of the game. But the passing game, it seems like, with A.J. Brown having his hamstring and whatever's going on with Julio Jones, where he's only playing, 20, 30 snaps a game, they don't have a lot of experienced receivers in there. They have a lot of small guys. Cameron Batson was in there. Rogers, the guy who used to play for the Colts, he caught a touchdown the other day. So you have a lot of no names, and that's going to affect the passing game long term. But I agree, the defense played a lot better. And whether or not they get sacks, the fact that they're putting pressure on the quarterback, vast improvement over last season. They got to keep that going.
I watched the game, and I'm admittedly a little worried about the offense, only because, A.J. Brown is officially considered hurt with the hamstring, and now they're saying Julio Jones might be injured now with his hamstring. And the wide receiver core is... I didn't even know who Westbrook in NWI, that guy. I didn't know who he was before Sunday. And I watch the Titans every week. It's not... You can't rely on these receivers forever. And yes, our run game is strong, but you have to get more reps with Julio Jones and A.J. Brown to build the chemistry of the offense.
Well, according to like Mike Vrabel, that he was asked today about Julio Jones, and he kind of led. He didn't come out right out and say it, but there's something wrong with Julio. There's something wrong with he's got a leg injury of some sort, or he's pulled something, or he's a pussy. I don't know. There's something that's just, I made that comment, and I'm going to probably end up sticking by it because what the fuck, dude? Dude, the game was on the line, not on the line, but dude, they needed him in there in some of the most crucial times of the game, and he's just over there hanging out, sipping some water.
It feels like Mike Vrabel went to obviously he was coached by him, but I'm kind of sick of the Bill Belichick nonsense from Mike Vrabel in his press conferences. It's like, is a dude hurt or not? This isn't New England. You don't have the resume to be doing this crap.
No, absolutely. But here's the thing, when you don't, at least give the public something, all this other stuff starts getting speculated about, like, well, is Julio not a team player? Is he a diva? Because we already heard from Atlanta fans and coaches he doesn't like to practice.
A lot of players don't like to practice it.
You know what? You get paid millions of dollars. Go do your fucking job.
I tend to agree.
Practice is part of your job.
But these veterans in the NFL are refusing to practice. It's been a trend for the last decade and a half. Michael Strahan was like, no, I'm not practicing. Most of his career, players, it's a weird mentality some of these players have where they're so good on Sunday, they feel like practice. It's the Allen Iverson thing.
Yeah.
Right. No, you're right. You're right about that. But I mean, it doesn't make it right, though. I mean, did any of y'all besides Cyrus? Did y'all get to watch that game where y'all are?
Yeah, I got to see it.
I just got to see red zone coverage of it,
Right. And
highlights.
so
But to me, Tennessee looks like they're playing Tennessee football. It doesn't look like there's any cause for alarm either way. I think that, they've won games when it's close. They beat people now that they should have beaten. They lost to Arizona, which was a 50-50 shot. I mean, Arizona's a good team.
Arizona is a good team, and they got probably one of the best. I mean, they're undefeated right now. Granted,
I know.
their last two games, they kind of squeaked by. Honestly,
Well, I just don't see. I mean, if the Titans, I think they're playing their game. I don't see any cause for concern, really. I mean, they've beaten the Colts is huge. They've got 3 games out of the next 14 that are cause for concern, and the rest of them are like they should possibly win these games. I mean, 3 out of 14, and that's the Rams, that's the Chiefs, and that's the Bills. Other than that, they're games they could win.
Concern's an understatement.
No, you know what? I disagree
Those
because
three.
I'm not really worried about Kansas City right now. To be quite honest with you.
Oh, they'll get
Well,
it.
that's to be determined, man. It's early still. There
It
might
is
be some
early.
issues.
I know it's September. It's September football. I get it, but dude, they definitely got some secondary issues in their defense. I mean, they just lost again at home to the Clippers. I mean, Clippers. Listen to me. The Chargers.
Sorry.
Wrong, San Diego.
I just laughed right at you.
No, see.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyways, so the LA Chargers, they went to Kansas City and, they took care of them. Neither team scored in the first half or anything. I mean, in the first quarter, but then, Chargers went up 14. And then, the Chiefs, they only got a field goal in the whole first half. And, dude, honestly, I didn't watch this whole game. I just saw the highlights. But, dude, watching Patrick Mahomes, the highlights of Patrick Mahomes, he was making some dumbass decisions. Like, he was making some decisions that looked like a rookie, like just throwing the ball. Like, he only had 2 interceptions, but, man, he should have had way more than that.
Well, that's the thing is that he's had very low stat lines on interceptions the last couple of years, and he's already started to rack them up this year. And some of them are receiver issues, and some of them are bad balances, but he's making a lot more of those really risky throws, and the turnovers are what's killed Kansas City in the Ravens game. They lost because of turnovers. Now, he didn't fumble the ball on the last drive, but he did have, a couple errant throws in that game as well. And they still have the talent level to run with anybody. And like Miles is saying, it's early, and they could probably put on a run at any time and knock off like 9-10 straight based on who they have on their team. But they got to fix the turnovers, man. And the thing about them not being able to run the ball, I don't see how they're going to fix that. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not the same back he was last year. Can't hold on to the ball. And they don't have an answer for the short yardage stuff like they did last year or the year before.
Kelsey's always been there for the short yardage if he needs to be. I mean, that slot position. But I mean, to this year, I don't think they found their identity. I think Mahomes feels he's got to do too much. I think he's trying too hard, and that's where these turnovers are coming from because he's not a Jameis Winston all of a sudden. I mean, he's a good quarterback. This is something's happening here. They need to figure out what it is and come together because they're not. There's a lot of talent there.
Well, didn't they lose a lot of their offensive linemen in the past 2 years?
This past offseason, really, it was the offensive line got torn apart, but they rebuilt it a little bit from what I know. But I think the biggest issue in Kansas City, it's always the biggest issue in Kansas City if people haven't noticed the last decade, is their defense. I mean, it's leaky, and that secondary is straight up like bottom 5 in the league. It's bad.
Yeah, it is.
Something I noticed watching the highlights from that Chiefs-Chargers games is Pat Mahomes was making throws that I would describe as, arrogance. Like the second, I don't remember if it was the first or second interception, but it was like one of those highlight reel throws he makes, those no-look passes, and it went right to the Chargers' safety.
We were sitting here talking about their them not having a run game, dude, they had 186 rushing yards in that
And no
game against the
touchdowns.
Chargers. No.
Well, I guess the
touchdowns.
Chargers, but I guess I'm kind of looking at the whole picture. And
No,
a lot
I'm
of the
just
rushing
saying-
yards, yeah, a lot of the rushing yards now too are some of these gimmick gadget plays and Mahomes getting out there. And I think, it's exactly what Cyrus said. They don't have an identity, and I think it's less of other teams looking at them thinking like, okay, how do we defend the Chiefs, and more of they don't really know what to call. And while they can still score, and they have been, they're at the bottom of their division, and that's the other thing that's against them too this year is their schedule, and the fact that they're in probably the best division in football this year because everybody else is just running it up, man. The Raiders used to reside at the bottom, and now you got the Raiders and Chargers both over them, and Denver's 3-0.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Denver is 3-0, but man, I
It's
worry
a
what's
fun-
going to happen when they run into some competitive teams.
Well, that's a competitive division right there. Granted, Denver just played. Who they play?
They played both New York teams in Jacksonville.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. I can't talk shit about that. All right. So
But they have Kansas City's number. Denver typically gives them a hard time.
And so does
Yeah.
the Chargers. And that's why,
Yes.
before this game even started, I was like, I really thought that the Chargers had a great chance of winning. And it looks like the deciding factor was the fact that Chargers didn't have any turnovers. And the Kansas City Chiefs had 4.
Yeah, which isn't typical. This is an exception to what we're normally seeing.
Well, 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions. So, like I believe Mike was saying about that running back, I'm not even going to pretend to be able to pronounce his name.
Just call him
That-
CEH.
Okay. Doesn't make it any easier for me. But yeah, so obviously they're I want to say they had the most turnovers in the NFL right now. Like
I can
gotta
get that
check
up.
Well, it's
get that
definitely
up
the
first.
most impactful. I think their turnover ratio, and it's like when I started watching football in the '80s. They always used to say on TV all the time. That's back when you had your lower scoring games. Whoever has the most turnovers is going to lose the ball game 9 times out of 10. And Kansas City, that's been their biggest problem is the turnovers. And he's not Jameis Winston, but he's when you have a guy who was Superman the last 2-3 years of his career, and then now all of a sudden he's come back down to earth a little bit, and he's given the ball back to the other team, seems to always be on the opposite side of the field too. So it's like on a drive that would be a scoring drive, they get past the 50 and then get the ball back. And those are really demoralizing, I think, over the span of the game. But we'll see what turns around. They can get it put together if anybody can.
The Chiefs do have a -2 turnover differential, which puts them in the bottom of the league. But the bottom 2 teams in the league, unsurprisingly, it's Jacksonville. But the team with the second worst is actually the Tennessee Titans in terms of turnover differential.
Yeah,
Which-
I heard them talking about that today because last year that Tennessee was great at that part, and that's what some people are worried about now.
Yeah, you
Right.
can't. Turning over the ball is it's you don't turn over the ball if you want to win games.
Yeah. So yeah, for the year so far, which they got, like I said, 160 of them last week, they've only got 300 yards rushing. So through 3 games, that's not. That's not bad. I don't think.
It's fairly low.
I think that honestly, I really feel like the problem with the Chiefs right now is just turnovers. Once they get that figured out and their secondary taken care of, because they should be good. So we'll move on to Tampa Bay and the Rams. That was a great fucking game. Did anybody watch that one?
Yes, I saw the whole thing.
Yes,
I missed
that was a really good game, dude. I really enjoyed that. Dude,
Yes.
Matthew Stafford tore it up.
Yes.
He did
Yes.
a great job. Don't get me wrong. Tom Brady's, he's Tom Brady, but he only got 1 touchdown. He had over 400 yards rushing. Not rushing, passing. I'm doing terrible tonight. But
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford had 4 touchdowns and 343 passing yards, dude. Like, hell yeah. It was like I was saying, I don't know who I was saying it to earlier, but he really is proving why he should be on a winning team. In fact, you know what? I'll feel a lot better in the playoffs. If he wins a playoff game, I feel a lot better about this.
mean, you could argue
Yep.
he should have won a couple playoff games in Detroit. I mean,
They were pretty close a couple times.
yes, they
But
were.
and Stafford's so much fun to watch right now because he's not running for his life. That offensive
Yes.
line that they have there, they have some older guys on the line, but they're able to hold up the protection long enough for him to get a second and third read, and not just Stafford scrambling around throwing it up to Megatron when he's getting destroyed. So it's really kind of cool to see him in this offense. This offense is built for a quarterback like him, and I think Sean McVay's really happy to have him. Sean McVay never wanted Jared Goff. Jared Goff was there before he got there. And I think in McVay's greatness, not to sit here and just kiss butt, but I think the fact that he took a Jared Goff from the wreck that he was the first year he was in the league with Jeff Fisher and made him a quarterback that got him to a Super Bowl shows how much he can improve someone at that position. And now, if he has Matt Stafford for 3-4 years, really interested to see how much more Stafford is going to continue to grow and get to like that Brett Favre Green Bay type level. Because he's got the build.
Do you think he's got the body for it? I mean, the ability to last 3-4 more years?
Yes,
Mhm.
I do. I think he can.
Has he ever had any kind of major injury?
No, not anything to speak of that I can remember.
I'd have to look. I don't remember.
That's saying something because he's getting the shit beat out of him up in Detroit.
Yeah,
He was missing a couple games a year, but it wasn't anything earth shattering. He never tore an ACL. It was always like a shoulder bang up or elbow issues or stuff where he came back the next week or week after.
Right.
I think that he's a smart guy, and I think he's going to buy in whatever Sean McVay is selling. And I think McVay, we all need to be praising him, man. What he's doing it's ingenious. I mean, I feel like he's playing football on another level. I feel like he's than these other coaches. What he's doing right now. I mean,
and all he
the
needs
plays that he's calling and the way he's using his players to their utmost abilities is pretty sick. It's like,
dude, I was so surprised that Deshaun Jackson was there.
Deshaun Jackson. I mean, throwing people in like this and then doing it. This is it's I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. It's interesting.
The fact
I hope
that he's
it
still
wins.
so
I
fast.
like him.
I can't believe he's still so fast after all these years. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, he had 3 receptions, 120 yards, and Cooper Kupp. How about Cooper Kupp? Damn.
Yes, I know all about it. He's great.
Yeah.
I love Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. I had you the first week, so I'm fine. So.
There's a reason I was so upset about during the Kansas City running back conversation.
Hey, thanks for the waiver wire this morning, guys. I appreciate it. There was nobody in my way for anything that I wanted to get. I saw Mike took up also enjoyed the waiver wire.
I did. Yeah, I'm trying to hang on to Carolina defense, but I was able to pick up the Titans. They're playing the Jets this week. Figured that's kind of a slam dunk. I don't think the Jets have scored 2 weeks, have they?
I don't. Ooh.
They don't score a lot.
I think it's been 2 shutouts in a row. Yeah,
I think you might be right.
That's terrible, man. Surely not. Have they pulled up a goose egg on the last 2 games?
No, they put up 2 field goals against New England.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up.
My
bad. This is knowing the Titans. They're going to put up 40 against us because lol Titans.
Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of fantasy, I'm a little sore about this too. Me and Adam played each other, and we were almost like dead even going into the Cowboys game. Right? Who'd you have? Did you have
Amari Cooper?
He had Amari Cooper, and I had the other guy, CeeDee Lamb. I think he had like a 3-point edge on me, and it worked out where I lost by, like the smallest margin. It was like 2 points or something.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude. And then Dallas just quit passing them both the ball in the second half. I don't think either one of our guys scored in the second half.
Shit out of Philadelphia. They didn't have
pass.
I watched that whole sorry game just to try to see CeeDee Lamb get something. If he got a single touchdown in that game, might have won. Yeah. Or if he got one towards the second half, I think he might have got one in the first half. Man, Philadelphia. Can we talk about that game for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
Like, why would they not run the ball? They lost that game because of just complete stupidity. They ran Miles Sanders. He had 3 carries, and he was averaging like 13 yards a carry, and they only gave it to him 3 times. They got their ass kicked, man.
The same thing. I thought the same thing with the Titans and Colts game. Honestly, Jonathan Taylor. Why were they not giving him the ball? But dude, even in Philadelphia, that Gainwell dude, he's a good back. And dude, he can catch it out of the backfield and everything. dude, I think Jalen Hurts had a
So
really
weird.
bad day, and it just is it a coaching thing? Was it a coaching thing this past Sunday with them? No, I mean, excuse me, Monday.
You had to put some of it on coaching. I mean, that's a really shitty game plan to go into a night game, playing in front of a national audience, and you're only going to throw the ball, and you have a quarterback that's not really known for throwing the ball over the yard. I mean, Jalen Hurts has limitations still. He's a diamond in the rough. I mean, he got replaced in college by Tagovailoa, and then kind of did his thing elsewhere for a little bit for a reason, because he's not, he's just not that guy. He can do a lot, manage the game, but he got exposed because they put him in really terrible situations. As far as play calling, they didn't give him anything to work with. It's all short stuff. It's all check downs, wide receiver screens, screenplays. And about the second quarter, Dallas started to figure it out. They quit dropping people deep. They just started keeping everybody between the sticks, and they knew he wasn't going to throw it past them.
So
Do
I
you
was
think they were?
watching-
Do you think they were trying to? You think they're trying to kind of do the Lamar Jackson thing with Jalen Hurts?
No, I'd be surprised. I
Because-
really don't understand what they're trying to do with him.
All right, so
don't think
these
they're
are his
smart
stats
enough.
from that game. No,
Yeah.
it's not smart enough. So here's his stats. They're 25 completions of 39 attempts for 326 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And then here's the rushing for the team. Jalen Hurts led his team with 9 rushes for 35 yards. Miles Sanders in second place of the rushing. 2 carries.
2 carries.
For
I'm sorry.
27 yards. 2.
Still averaging 13. I got that part, but
Yeah, no, you're right. He's
big miss on the carries.
Yep. And then Kenneth Gainwell had 1 for 2 yards, and that's it. That's all they tried to run it. That is literally it. 12
But you-
plays they ran the
Dude.
ball.
You look at that entire box, and it looks like there was no plan at any
No.
point.
Absolutely,
there
dude.
was just
I was watching the game with the Manning cast, right? And they
I
were
love
Oh,
that,
that
dude.
was fun.
I fucking love that.
it was great. But at one point Nick Saban was on, and he was straight up like, why isn't Philadelphia running the ball?
Yeah.
He was like confused, and obviously a college coach would be confused on why a team's not running the ball. But like
Good point.
there was points where the Cowboys had no one in the box because they knew a screen was coming. Like they just had a 4-man front and like one linebacker out there, and then they knew like a screen was coming, or they knew it was going to be a check down because they were running the same like 3 or 4 plays the whole game.
Well, the coach has said before going into this year that they were going to really simplify the offense because they needed people to be able to understand their offense.
There's
I
low
think
grade high schools with more versatile playbooks than Philadelphia right now.
Well,
Well, and something else I noticed about Hurts is that he doesn't seem to have confidence in his arm. He had guys that were open in that game, even given some of the trashy play calling. He had guys that were running open, and he would kind of double clutch the ball. He wouldn't let it go. And by the time he actually decided to throw it, it was late, and he threw it behind him, or he threw it up high and almost got a couple of his guys killed. The other thing, too, is on the same token, he's holding the ball way too long, and they just don't have the guys to hold up that much. I mean, he was in the pocket, standing in the pocket for 3.5, 4 seconds, which is an eternity. I mean, if after 2 seconds
like
that
Prince
clock goes
Finger
off in your head,
Mariota.
you run.
dude, Dak Prescott was very accurate that night. He was
killed
21 of 26. He only missed 5 freaking passes. That's it.
It's the
5.
hip dance, man. It's that
Dude,
that whole thing he
230
does before the game.
Yeah, no, I don't watch that stuff.
I know what
usually,
you're
yeah, I don't.
I'm starting to realize most of my criticisms of Dak Prescott were because of Jason Garrett, and it's almost
Yes.
frustrating
Yes, agreed.
because he looks so good under this offense.
He does. He looks great. I'm
I'm happy for him.
I am too.
Mhm.
You know, especially coming back after that kind of injury.
Yeah.
Holy shit. He had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He only had 238 yards, but I mean, they didn't need him more.
Blowing the other
That's
team
all they
out.
needed.
Old Ezekiel got 95 yards, and Tony Pollard 60.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard.
That's officially a timeshare now.
Yep.
Backfield.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, it is, and as it should be. Sucks for fantasy, but it's definitely the way to go. Dude,
It does suck, man. So many people took Elliott first this year. I saw it in a couple of drafts.
yeah.
Yep.
I've seen it in both of these drafts. The fantasy with y'all, and then the other one I'm in. Dude, that other one I'm in. Oh god, fuck ESPN, dude. Fuck ESPN so hard, man. All right, so, but I mean, finally, Robinson finally had a good week. I mean, I still lost. I'm 0-3 in that league. But dude, like when you try to go to get somebody, there's nobody on waivers, nothing, man. But I did pick up Herbert, or however you pronounce his name.
Wow,
Dude
he
from
was
Carolina.
available?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Chuba Hubbard?
yeah. Thank you.
Damn, I picked him up in both leagues I'm in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I picked.
Carolina guy, right?
I'm
Yeah.
a Chuba believer. I believe in Chuba.
But,
He looked good.
well, I was only able to get him yesterday because of the waivers.
That's awesome. You should be
Yeah.
happy.
Oh no, and so I picked up Bernard too, but now that he's hurt, but dude, I don't have anybody else. But anyways, all right. So a guy I work with, he's trying to get Robinson from me for Zach Moss, and Zach Moss is having a good year as far as points goes, but that's another timeshare up in Buffalo, and this guy that's trying to trade me, he's already got Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor sucks balls.
He
He's
does
done
not.
anything. He's not done
does-
anything, and I'm starting to question whether he's gonna do anything.
He's gonna.
He's going to, dude. They got a bad coaching problem up there. They do. They should have ran the ball on Tennessee the other week. That guy.
Well, they did until they had to throw it because Wentz had 2 bad ankles, and he looked like it, man. He looked like he could not bend his legs.
Yeah.
He was very, very immobile. But I've read just this morning saying they're trying to trade one of those running backs to Indianapolis, and I'm guessing it's not Taylor; it's the other guy. I'm gonna try to look it up while you guys are talking.
Reports
Hines, I
I
think
heard
it
is
was-
they're trying to trade Marlon Mack.
Oh, I
He's
forgot
already
about him.
gone.
Oh.
Mac's already gone. He's playing somewhere else.
Did they trade him already? I didn't think they.
I thought so. Where's he playing for now?
He's still a Colt, but he requested a trade this past week.
Okay, no, I'm thinking of somebody different.
Okay, so it's not Himes. So I guess that obviously would be why I would request a trade if I was behind those two guys. You're never going to play.
No.
Yeah, no, obviously.
Which is a shame.
I'm
Marlon
looking it
Mack's
up.
actually a pretty talented back.
He did all right. I remember having him before in fantasy.
I'm hearing the rumor is right now that Baltimore wants to trade for him because of their running back injury issues.
Yeah,
They just signed like 3 different guys.
Yeah, they've got Freeman, Murray, and Wilson. Oh, fuck. What's his name? I've got him. Williams.
Williams
Tyson
from
Williams.
where?
Huh?
Who? Which Williams?
Baltimore. Tyson. That's their number one guy right now.
Yeah.
But he was like the
No.
third stringer at the beginning of the freaking year.
Just like Buffalo, the rushing yards and rushing touchdowns come from the quarterback.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Baltimore and Buffalo.
But I mean, that, like I
There's
said, that
similarities.
Zach Moss, dude, he's.
I've had him. I got him in another league.
Do you?
I got him in our league, I think.
do you?
Or is yeah. It's
So
been like
he had
last
60
week.
yards rushing this past week with 13 carries, which he outdid Devin Singletary.
Singletary, yeah.
And
He's a touchdown dependent back. I'll put it that way.
31, he had 31 yards reception and a touchdown.
Touchdown
I can't
dependent
find that
back.
article now. I'm giving up. But yeah, I think it is Marlon Mack. But to his point, this is a great time to get a trade because there's actually teams that have a lot of trouble running the ball that probably would trade for him. If that's
Yep.
the last missing piece,
Yeah.
there's probably 3 or 4 teams I could rattle off quick that would take Marlon Mack if he's still worth
Yes.
anything.
Do y'all think I should trade for Zach Moss? What in the hell?
Trade who for Zach Moss?
Robinson. I don't think so.
I don't know, man. To be honest with you, I think that James Robinson's tricky because of the whole situation going on down there. It seems like they play from behind a lot, but at the same time, Zach Moss, it's like the running in Buffalo is Josh Allen. That's where the running is.
Yeah.
Did y'all
Anyone
see?
disagree with that?
No,
No,
I
I
was
do.
I was distracted by the
You do?
the YouTube comment there.
Yeah, I think Robinson's a much better. I mean, because you don't know either one. I mean, it's kind of like 1A and 1B, but Robinson's at least going to get more carries if he gets if they have an opportunity to run it at all. Where, like you said, in Buffalo, I mean, you basically have 3 backs that split carries up there between Josh Allen being a running back when he wants to be, and then the others you got Singletary and Moss.
I knew you would be able to convince me. I would go with Mike now.
Yeah, there's no guarantee, but I think you're gonna if you're gonna have a big game from a running back, it's gonna be from Robinson somewhere down the line.
And he just had a really
more
decent
upside,
game
as they
this
say.
past week. This
Right.
past week he got me like 19 points in that league, which is a lot in that league. I still lost, but you know.
Plus, I like his pass catching ability. They used him a lot on that last year, and they haven't quite yet this year, I guess. Well, I mean, I haven't really watched Jacksonville that much, but I don't see that in his stat line. I think that's going to come around.
They definitely got an offensive line issue, which is, you know, a very similar story up in Pittsburgh too, who got their ass handed to them by Cincinnati this week. Dude,
What do you think, man? Do you think it's more of a product of Cincinnati really getting it and coming together, or Pittsburgh just really falling apart?
Little column A, little column B.
Exactly. I really feel like it's kind of both, but I really think that Pittsburgh, dude, Big Ben is done. He's done. I mean, he should have retired last year, if not before that. I mean, it was hard watching him. I mean, it really was, dude. Because it's just
He's
like
definitely not Big Ben anymore.
Oh no, he is, but that's the problem. He's just big.
Well,
He's not moving.
I saw bits and pieces of that game. A big notable part is when the Steelers are missing their pass rush. Boy, does that defense all of a sudden look very pedestrian. Like, that secondary can't cover anything.
I know. Without T.J. Watt in there, dude, their defense is nothing.
Like, Joe Burrow tore them apart. And the Bengals are not exactly known for their offensive line this year. I feel like even with the injuries they had, they should have been able to get more penetration on the Bengals. And the fact that you're going to get blown out at home to a team that you haven't lost to at home in like 8 or 9 years, it's been that long since the Bengals have won in Pittsburgh. It's a giant red flag.
Yes.
Miles?
Yeah.
I think that Pittsburgh's, they've got to find some life somewhere, and it's not with Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, it's nice to have him, but they should have had somebody else playing ahead of him. There should be a transition going on here of some sort. And if he didn't want to play ball, then that's on him. You know, try and work that out. Some quarterbacks don't want to play ball after they've been in that place for so long. You know, like it is. But as far as the Bengals go, I'm excited for the Bengals. I think they're going to go over 500 this year. I think that, and just pure talent alone, I don't think it matters what any fundamentals say about them. You know, shitty coaching, shitty offensive line, shitty this, shitty that. I think just between the Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and some of the other talent they have, just a few handful, they're going to win games. But I don't think it's going to be prolific what they do here. But that's the way I feel about that.
That's fairly accurate assessment. I think Jamar Chase he looks way better than I thought he would by this point.
Even last year, before Burrow got hurt, I mean, they beat Tennessee. I think they beat another above 500 team before Burrow got hurt. They were destined to be 6-10 last year, or 7-9 before Burrow got hurt.
He was having a really good rookie year last year. I was really disappointed when he got hurt. But like Mike had said last year, what do you expect with the kind of line that they have out there? I mean, that's been kind of the running thing in Cincinnati. They haven't been able to really run the ball or protect the quarterback. And that, I mean, dude, let's face it, everything in football is about the fucking offensive line. If you got a bad offensive line, you got a bad team.
And even though their O-line's not that good, they've definitely been overperforming. I mean, Joe Mixon's had an all right year in Cincinnati so far.
He has. You're right. He's had some good games. Matter of fact, I have him in this. I mean, this past week he didn't do much, but still got me some damn points. So enough points to beat Mike.
I'd like to shout out Paul for whooping my ass.
Dude, no shit, because I finally, I didn't get to beat you at all last year, and I paid you 3 times last year. Because we played each other twice in the season, and then I met you in the finals, and I still, damn it.
I actually have a lot of the same roster pieces this year as I had last year. It's just it's not working out the same. Dalvin Cook being hurt last week hurt me in 2 weeks. But
you had Derrick Henry last year too.
Yeah, I had Cook and Henry. Well, I was able to get Cook, I think, in like the second or third round. He was coming off an injury, I think, and he wasn't like as big a deal as he is obviously this year. Man, Vikings offense took a turn. I mean, all of a sudden they look like something steady. What the hell is going on? That happened fast.
Well, Dalvin Cook injury is one thing that'll make it turn around, I guess. I mean,
dude, that backup running back came in and filled the void just fine.
Well, it's Kirk Cousins too, though, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's the curse of Cousins, the Cousins curse. There's no, I don't know what's going on there ever. I mean, is he on fire? Is he getting fired? It's insane. He might put on a little bit of a run, but nothing with this guy. I don't know. But I haven't even looked at his stats. Maybe he's not to blame for the total thing, but it's Minnesota. Like, they have been so hot or so cold. They're just, and this year they're very cold. They are very cold, especially without their star player.
Kirk Cousins especially is like the streakiest player in football.
Yes.
Have they said, he's definitely the streakiest player, but I mean, have they said, the last thing I heard about Dalvin was it's looking promising.
Yeah, I haven't heard. I've been looking.
I think he'll be back next week. He was game time this week, so that means he almost went.
All right. So what about old McCaffrey?
Yeah.
That's going to be a few weeks. Oh, no, I know that, but, I mean, they're talking about him being out for a few weeks. I was talking to some guys at work about this, and I really do believe that Carolina is going to ruin this man's career by getting him beat the fuck up week in, week out. That his body can't handle it. It's Peyton Hillis. It's going to be the same way, dude. They're just going to completely destroy him.
Not the same type of back, but you are right. I mean, the way that they're using him as the lead dog, as the one backfield when he's there. He's going to be catching the ball. He's going to run the ball. He's going to be a big part of the offense. Oh, he's hurt. And now this happened last year. It happened a little bit the year before where he's missing, chunks of games. And now it's just going to be a matter of time. He doesn't have the body type to do this stuff. I mean, you take a guy that's Derrick Henry size, and he can take that punishment probably for a more consistent basis. Maybe not like a ton of years, but, he's not going to miss weeks all the time. McCaffrey's missing weeks all the time. It seems like when he's gone, the offense changes, and that's got to be scary. I almost would rather get somebody else to put back there with him. What's that guy we were talking about earlier? Is it Hubbard?
Yeah.
Yes, Chuba.
Yeah, I think they need to give him a fair share of the carries and do a split backfield there. I think that also would free up McCaffrey to be more productive, but more importantly, like you guys are saying, less injured, because he's no good if he's on the bench.
No.
He's done.
I agree, but I don't think I've said this before. I don't know if anybody agreed with me at the time, but nothing matters long term. I mean, to even be concerned at this point with long term longevity is silly because he's already been in the league 4 years. So to have him play this long for as good as he's played, if he were to squeak out one more year for anybody, I mean, that would be a blessing for them.
But he's not squeaking it out. I mean,
it's all about now. And
yeah,
that's
it's all about.
But if they abuse him, yeah. But what is abuse in the football league? I mean, this is what it is.
An offense based through your running back with paper
but
mache as an offensive
that's
line.
That's nothing new.
Well, I mean, Sam Darnold is doing. He's doing good down there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about the previous 4 years when McCaffrey was the star of the offense. The Newton being injured years, and then when they were starting no names at QB, and
isn't this his third year?
Is it his third or fourth year?
I can't remember. But it's just like the Lamar Jackson thing. You get players that are that special, you ride them like a horse as fast as you can, as long as you can. And when they fall out, you kick them to the curb and find another one somewhere.
I think it really depends. I think it really depends on what you're trying to do with them.
A great NFL GM.
Yeah. Oh, you heard? Fuck this guy. He's playing.
I mean, I haven't been in for a career 3 years.
Insurance and a pension, but let him go.
I mean,
insurance, pension. I'm not a total dickhead.
No, not at all. But I mean, I kind of use a team like New England where they've had the same couple of running backs there for the last few years between James White and the Dion Lewis guy that was there, and Sony Michel. They have like a group of guys that they use for different situations. and they've been able to kind of like extend their careers and then still have these guys there where they're not just bringing in two new guys every single season. I think that's probably more along the lines of what I think a successful team should do. If Carolina is going to, I mean, McCaffrey's a great player. I just don't think he needs the ball 25, 30 times a game. I think just kind of spotlighting him is going to give you a better chance to win. But, really, I guess depends on what else you got to work with.
That's where you
wide
just
receiver in Carolina.
what you have to work with right there is where I'm going to begin. Those three people that you named and don't have as much talent as Chris McCaffrey has in his Pinky.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
this
they're like
guy's a
the three of them
special player.
together is McCaffrey.
Yes, you know what I mean. You jump on and you ride that. There's nothing else you can do. I mean, my game plan would be around him. There's no other way to coach that team, especially with a new
you don't
quarterback
draft him in
coming
fantasy though.
No,
that's true.
heavens no.
That's very true.
Heavens no.
Learned
No,
that
you
one
would
the
not.
fun way.
Very true there. But you have to. If you're smart, though, you would have to have a backup plan. And hopefully they've played Chuba Hubbard enough to where he's going to do just fine. We'll see.
That'll never not be funny.
So,
But he's a special talent, and I hate that he gets hurt all the damn time. It really pisses me off because he's fun. He's fun to watch.
I don't
He's good
think
for
he's
football.
going to. I'll be surprised if he makes it through the year. I mean, I know this is just a hamstring injury, but dude, when he came back last year, his first game back, and I don't know if it was a game, but dude, he got hurt on his shoulder. It had fuck all to do with his injury. Period.
Yeah.
It was just another one added on top of it. It's just like, dude, your body can't. I mean, that's one thing I'll say about Derrick Henry, dude. His body can handle it.
Yeah.
That man works out like no other. He could just. He's like the juggernaut, dude. He may not be fast, but man, once he gets going, he's taking people with him. And see, I think that's a lot of the difference between a running back like Christian McCaffrey versus a running back like Derrick Henry, which there isn't a running back like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the one that's giving the hits.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the one taking the hits.
Ask Darius Leonard.
Right?
That was fun to watch.
That was awesome.
Truck stick, boom, Leonard, floor. It's great.
It was. So, moving on to the Washington football team and Buffalo. And, you don't hear many people talk about Josh Allen, dude. He had another killer game. 4 touchdowns, 358 yards. I'm telling you, dude. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone here agrees that he deserved the contract extension he got last year.
Oh, definitely.
So, what do you have to say about Miles?
I think Buffalo's for real. I mean, I think that they've got it 10 different ways. I mean, however they can move the ball up and down the field. They can score. They're not timid about it. When they have it, they just seem like they're in control. I mean, I've watched quite enough to know that I feel like they're contenders. They really are. Like that division's not gonna do much to get in their way. I don't think
at all.
Nothing.
They're running away already.
And can we mention that they blew out one of the best defenses in the entire NFC? Like, made it look easy. But the Washington football team's defense is no joke.
No, they're not.
Chase Young's an elite player. They got a really good defense who nearly eliminated the Super Bowl champions last year in the playoffs. And the Bills made it look easy.
Yeah. Josh Allen's in the top 3 for MVP this year. Probably him, Kyler Murray, and who else is there?
Again. Lamar Jackson again, possibly. I mean, look what he's doing.
He's dark horse, and I think if they really get on it, they need to pull off several wins, and not on a 66-yarder. I'm sorry, at the buzzer against the Lions. I think if they really put on some wins, he'll be back in the race. But Josh Allen, man, I really would like to see him win it. He's been so good the last season and a half, 2 years.
Yeah,
couldn't agree more.
So, but their opening game wasn't too hot.
You're gonna have that.
Game wasn't too hot.
Buffalo
you're gonna
Bills.
have that.
They opened it up the season with a loss at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's one win came against the Bills. Who fucking saw that coming?
I mean, the Chiefs won wins against Cleveland, who we'd all consider a really good team.
Cleveland is a good team.
The NFL is a weird league where, I mean, weird.
The fact that I just said Cleveland's a good team is weird.
It seems like
is that what you're saying?
But, in my lifetime, yes. But no. But what I'm saying is, their 1 wins against an elite team. The Steelers' 1 win is also against an elite team. There's a lot of 1 and 2 teams kind of like that right now.
No, you're right. I'll give you that. That's for certain.
You guys alluded to it earlier in the show, I think, about how the 0-3 teams are not that far away from having a couple of games, and the 3-0 teams are kind of lucky to be there. We really have a huge cluster of teams that kind of look like they should all be around the same record. Like we should just have like what used to be 8-8 teams, across the board right now. It's going to be really fun to watch the next couple of weeks and see some of the movers and shakers kind of separate themselves. Because everybody right now is like on each other's heels. Like 3-0 Denver is, a lot of people are not going to say that they're better than 1-2 Kansas City.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Wish they should.
I mean,
the record reflects it. I mean, but like you said, they haven't played anybody. They played both of the New York teams and the Jags.
I don't want to go full college football I don't want to go full college football with straight strength of schedule. He ain't played nobody, Paul. But
right.
Man, they haven't.
No, you're right.
I mean,
they haven't played anybody. But I mean, an NFL team is an NFL team.
It's true. That is.
They're all professionals.
Who were you talking about? Who are you defending, Davis? Cleveland still?
No, I was starting to defend Denver. No, dude, I think Cleveland's got a great defense.
I think they're good. And I think Denver's good.
Defense. Defense is really good.
I like the running game in Cleveland, and the quarterback situation is nothing to be sad about either. But Denver, yes. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater's come in and thrown a light under their ass. I mean, they've done all right offensively. Defensively, they've always been strong. I don't think they've ever left their defensive presence. I mean, they've always, for a while, with the old boy at the end of the line, Elvis. What's his name?
Say that again?
I don't know. I can't think of his name right now.
Von Miller?
Yes, that's him. And
used to be Elvis Timberville.
Yes, and then thank you. And then they've got Chubb on the other end with them when they're both healthy. So their defense is, I mean, it's not terrible at all. But the offense, I mean, will it sustain? I don't think so. I don't think it will.
Teddy won't
it's fun to watch them.
Teddy won't lose you any games, but that's the problem. He won't really win you many games either. He's just kind of he's very Trent Dilfer.
And they haven't played anybody. You're right. I mean, that's 100% accurate. I mean, so we'll see what happens when they do.
All right, so in that division, though, I mean, that's a hell of a division. I mean, the fact that Kansas City is last, it's not that far-fetched given who's in their division, I mean, the Raiders, they're unbeaten. Denver's unbeaten.
Yep.
I mean, they're the only unbeaten AFC teams.
Yeah, you're going to start to see somebody break away there. I mean, the next couple of weeks, something is bound to happen, and you'll see somebody kind of prove themselves and separate from the pack. And that's kind of how it goes every year. I can't remember how many times, a team starts out 4-0 only to start. You'll always have one team that wins a bunch of games early, and they backslide hard, like towards the end of the season. They finish as like 8-8. But
Steelers last year, man. The Steelers last year started off with 8-0, 9-0, or
yeah, it was like 10-0.
Was it?
I think so. And there's one of like them every year. They may not win that many games to start, but it's similar in nature. But you got Kansas City at Philadelphia this week, kind of eyeballing the schedule here. Denver's at Baltimore, and then you have
that'll be a good one.
Yeah,
that will be the tail right there for Denver. If Denver
and Vegas and the Chargers. That might be the game of the week.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, the game of the week is per the media, is Tampa Bay and the Patriots Monday night. Sunday night. Excuse me, Sunday night.
I want to watch tomorrow night's game. I think it might be some fireworks there.
I think it'll be a fun. It should. I mean, it's what they say. It's a national championship rematch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Redo.
Yep.
And The problem is the Thursday night game. Jacksonville, who's the worst team, is on the road. Short week. Cincinnati's probably going to blow them out.
Shut your fucking mouth, Cyrus.
Hey, man, you chose the Jags life.
Settle in.
Yeah, I've settled in. Trust me.
Brutal.
He doesn't make. He doesn't
I've
make
been
the rules.
dealing with
man.
this shit for 20 years.
He doesn't
so.
make the rules.
Brutal.
Yeah.
No, that'd be fun to watch. I haven't got to see Trevor Lawrence yet.
Well,
Yeah.
it's good and bad. There's some okay things there, but it's been. He's a rookie. You know what I mean? It happens.
Let's get the ball to Tebow. Where's Tebow? Get Tebow back.
Exactly.
He's
That's
probably
what
on a
they needed.
mission.
He would lead them on a prayer before.
Yeah, he's into soccer now.
It would have been great.
He would have
Whatever sport he
tried to
hasn't
throw
done.
a block and get thrown into the third row of the.
Can I say this right now? The Bills
Ooh,
are going to
all
play
right.
the Rams in the Super Bowl.
What, Taylor?
I would like to see that.
The Bills are going to play the Rams in the Super Bowl.
Well, we got
Calling it
another
right here.
game of the week. Honestly, it's going to come down. There's two games that could be the game of the week for fans, anyways,
Mhm.
as far as being the best games, and it's the Cardinals at the Rams is the other
That
one,
would be good.
Yeah.
and then you got Seahawks at the 49ers.
This is really one of the better scheduled weeks of the year. Then you have Carolina and Dallas. Those are two winning teams right now.
Yeah.
All the losing teams are playing each other, and all the good teams are playing each other. That's kind of what
Yeah.
you want to see.
That's
And
great.
it is. It is.
There's a couple jobbers to the stars matchup. I mean, you got the Titans playing the Jets. That should be hopefully not essential viewing.
The
I don't
defensive-
like when they play winless teams. It's a trap
Me
game.
either.
It's happened
Me either.
all. The one of the worst things I've ever seen, and I know we keep talking about the Titans, but one of the worst things I've ever seen was the Vic Ballard game in 2011. The Colts were sucking for luck to draft him early the next year. I don't think they'd won a game all year, and the only Titans game I went to that year was the Colts game, and they lost in overtime on that Vic Ballard play where he went across the goal line and scored on like this unlikely twisty top type thing. And it just ever since then, man, the Jaguars I think were winless and beat us one year. Sucks, man. I hate these games.
Ryan, that year the Colts cost us a playoff spot because if you remember the Titans went 9-7 under Matt Hasselbeck and they should have made the playoffs, but you lose to a 2-win team, you get what you deserve. And then in 2016 when they should have made the playoffs, the Christmas Eve massacre. This will make Jacksonville fan happy over here. When the Jags ended the Titans season and basically ended Marcus Mariota's career.
I hate the fact that the Jags are in the same division as Tennessee.
Me too.
Obviously, everyone on this show is a Tennessee Titan fan because we all come from Tennessee. At least we were all here when Tennessee came, or where the Titans came here. So I don't know, Cyrus. Were you even born when the Titans came here?
I am younger than the Oiler name. I was born actually after the Super Bowl appearance.
So you're younger than the Titan name, not the Oiler name.
Well, my bad, misspoke. But but the thing is, I never saw the Super Bowl appearance. I grew up with my favorite player wasn't Steve McNair or Eddie George. It was Chris Johnson.
Right.
It's a weird era to grow up in under Titans football.
I will say this about Jacksonville. They were really close. 2017. That team, was it 2017 that they were at the AFC Championship?
I think
They were
27.
They were really, really close, man. And
They should have beat the Patriots that year.
I agree. They had
My
a lead
mind,
on them with
they
like 2
basically
minutes
did.
to play. Yeah, and the destruction of that roster, how they just completely, mismanaged it is not even an accurate term for how that came to be. They gave Blake Bortles the new contract, the big contract, and they cut in the next year. They lost Ramsey. They lost Calais Campbell.
Puking players, man. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
Because
Fournette, all
Tom
these
Coughlin
draft
ran
picks.
them all off, dude. No one could stand Tom Coughlin, and having him as the VP of football operations was just—that's what killed them. That it really was because he had no respect from the players. The players couldn't stand him. He couldn't stand the players because with Tom Coughlin, it's his way or the highway. Period. There's nothing nice about it. You don't hear anything
And
really positive about it.
Jacksonville's owner, their owner is
Shaka Khan.
he's too busy running a.
Good one.
Well, Shaka's the one parting the money, but the guy who runs the team as an ownership is Tony Khan, and he's a great wrestling promoter. I love what he does with AEW, and that's his passion project. The Jags have been awful under his leadership the entire time, with the exception of that 1 year. His
Right.
soccer team in the Premier League, I think it's want to say it's Everton. It's one of those things. Is also really bad. Like the dude's so focused on his pro wrestling project which is great. I'm a fan. That the Jags are a dumpster fire, and so is his Premier League team. They just need to sell the team.
I agree, but I still even think at that, like probably 2 years from now, that I don't think Urban Meyer is going to be a stick around situation. I think it's more of a PR stunt, given that they still have a lot of young talent on the team. They're probably like a draft or two away from really having a competitive squad, but they can come back from all this. It's just, it was so bad after the 2018 and 19 seasons where they let everybody go, pushed them out the door, bad contracts for coaches, for players, bad draft picks, bad trades. They didn't draft anybody good with a lot of the trade draft capital that they got for like Ramsey even. And then this year, what is that guy that they took in the first round? It was running back, and they already had Robinson.
Man.
Yeah. So they've got an opportunity.
Already, he's out for the year.
Exactly. They've got an opportunity to do well and establish some pieces and make a turn. Hell, they're due for it. But it was just, I marvel at that sometimes. It's kind of a weird thing to just randomly think about. But I mean, when I'm looking at football players and trades and stuff, I'm like, I wonder who could have done a worse job on that. So all this to say, Adam, I think that a couple years from now, they may actually have a decent team. They'll be drafting first, probably again next year.
No, I don't need them to draft first, man. I need them to draft like 5th or 6th. They don't need to go first. I'll be happy with a 5th or 6th round pick. I mean, just 5th or 6th pick of the first round. But so, all right. So, what game are y'all saying is going to be? Which ones are y'all calling? Who's got? All right, the Arizona Rams game. Who do y'all take? Miles, who you taking that game?
I take the Cardinals.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Mike?
The Rams have got to cool off a little bit. Cardinals are going to stay strong, but then they're going to flop out towards the end.
I'm taking the Rams. They've really beat teams a little more completely than Arizona. That's really all I'm basing it on. It's a toss-up.
Good point.
It'll be a war, but since it's in Los Angeles, I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to take home field advantage.
Yeah, I'm going with the Rams just because I like their defense more. If it's not the number one defense, it's damn near close to it. And they've got a decent secondary, which is kind of hard to say about any other team in the NFL right now.
I would bet the over on that one, folks.
Could you imagine a Kyler Murray being on like a Sean McVay team? What that would consist
No, I don't know if that's the kind of quarterback that Sean McVay would want.
What do you mean the kind of quarterback?
He's a running
Kyler
quarterback.
Murray can throw it just as good as he can run it.
It would be like a Mike Leach style, either really awesome or really terrible, and there would be no in between.
I haven't figured out how Kyler Murray's so good. Because when I watch him, he does things that I'm like, you're not supposed to do that, and then it works. Yeah. And it doesn't make any sense to me. I mentioned this last week about his back foot. I've watched so many shots of him just rolling back, this little tiny quarterback, back foot, launching it, and it gets where it's supposed to go. Mm-hmm. You're just not supposed to do that. It's just, it conflicts with me. It's like meat-flavored candy.
You ever watched an air raid offense in college? Like a Mike Leach team?
Yeah, briefly, but I mean, they play nobody.
I know, exactly. And then they always get their teeth kicked in once they play like an SEC or even an in-conference opponent. But like it's like if one of those quarterbacks slipped through the cracks and ended up in the NFL. That's how he plays. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury is running the air raid in Arizona. That's why they're never going to be good in the playoffs unless they have home field advantage.
I like him.
So
it's fun to watch.
Wow, the LA game is in LA, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then the Monday night game is also in LA. Mm-hmm. The Raiders at the Chargers. I'm going with the Chargers on that one. No, I'm not. I don't know, man. This is the first time that that the Raiders have started with this record in like a long time. I want to say 19 years.
Nobody wants to believe in Derek Carr, man. It's hard to put all your eggs in that basket.
No,
but he is playing good.
Oh, all right, before we end the show, though, another little fun fact about a game coming up this week is that the Steelers are at Green Bay. Did y'all know this is the first time that Aaron Rodgers and Ben have played each other since the Super Bowl they were in?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. That's been a long time ago.
NFL scheduling is weird.
It is. It is. All right. Well, cool. I guess that's it for the evening then. Thanks everybody for
Okay.
tuning in.
Thank you, gents.
Man, what the
Well
hell
done.
is
Been
this
fun.
shit? Y'all seen any of the? Oh, anyways, y'all have a good one. Y'all stick around. I'm going to end the broadcast, and we will
All
see
right.
y'all next week. Awesome.